It began innocently enough. Our group had chosen a secluded camping spot nestled within a dense forest. The air was crisp, the stars were twinkling overhead, and the crackling of the campfire brought us comfort. We shared stories and laughter, oblivious to the sinister presence lurking in the shadows. As the night wore on, an eerie silence settled upon the woods. It was then that we first heard it, a soft whisper, barely audible, carried by the gentle breeze. At first we dismissed it as our imagination playing tricks on us, but the whispers persisted, growing louder and more distinct. They called our names, their tone filled with an otherworldly urgency that sent shivers down our spines. Fear enveloped us, and we huddled closer together, seeking solace in our shared terror. The forest seemed to come alive with an unseen presence, its whispers echoing through the night. We desperately searched for the source, scanning the darkness for any sign of movement, but found nothing. Hours passed, and the whispers continued to haunt us, growing in intensity and number. Our attempts to escape the forest became futile as the voices seemed to surround us, closing in from all directions. Exhausted and overwhelmed, we made a unanimous decision to abandon our camp and flee from the haunting woods. With trembling hands, we packed our belongings and stumbled through the darkness, guided only by the pale glow of the moon. The forest twisted and turned as if mocking our attempts to find a way out. The whispers pursued us, their volumes rising as we moved deeper into the wilderness. Suddenly, a piercing scream shattered the night. We froze in our tracks, the sound echoing through the trees, piercing our eardrums. It was a cry of pure anguish and despair, sending chills down our spines. Without hesitation, we ran towards the source, driven by a mixture of concern and desperate need to escape the oppressive grip of the forest. The piercing cries led us to a small clearing, bathed in an ethereal glow. There we witnessed a sight that would forever haunt our nightmares. A figure stood in the center, their back turned to us. As we approached, their sobs filled the air, a haunting symphony of pain. We called out to the figure, our voices trembling with a mix of fear and empathy. Slowly that figure turned, revealing a face contorted by grief and anguish. It was then that we realized with horror that we were face to face with a ghost, trapped within the confines of the whispering woods. The ghost's eyes bore into our souls, filled with a sadness that words could not express. In a voice laced with sorrow, it recounted its tragic tale, their love lost, their life cut short, and their eternal torment within the haunted woods. We listened, captivated and terrified, as the ghost's whispers morphed into mournful wails, echoing through the night. In that moment, we felt an overwhelming surge of empathy and compassion for the tormented spirit. We longed to free them for their eternal anguish, but the forest's grip was unyielding. We were mere mortals trapped in a realm of supernatural, unable to change their fate. With heavy hearts, we bid the ghost farewell, promising to remember their story and share it with others. As we retreated from the clearing, the forest whispered faded into the distance, leaving us with a profound sense of loss and unanswered questions. To this day, we wonder about the ghost's true identity and the circumstances that led to its eternal torment within the whispering woods. Was her story one of betrayal, a tragic accident, or something far more sinister? The truth may forever elude us, leaving us to grapple with the enigma of the haunted forest and the specter that resides within. The location we had chosen for our camping adventure was known for its natural beauty, a serene forest teeming with life. It had been a favorite spot for many previous excursions. We felt comfortable and at ease in its familiar embrace, but this time, something was different. As we pitched our tents and gathered firewood, a sense of unease settled upon us. The sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves were conspicuously absent. An eerie stillness hung in the air, setting our nerves on edge. It was as if the forest held its breath, waiting for something ominous to unfold. Night descended, casting long shadows across the campsite. We sat around the campfire, attempting to alleviate our growing unease with laughter and conversation. But our efforts were in vain, as a chill wind swept through the trees, extinguishing our flickering flames. In the midst of darkness, a terrified scream shattered the silence. We turned to find one of our friends is gone in an instant, along with their tent. Panic gripped us as we scoured the area, searching desperately for any sign of our missing companion. But the forest had swallowed them whole, leaving behind no trace of their existence. Fear and confusion consumed us. How could something vanish so mysteriously? The remaining members of our group huddled together, our collective resolve shaken to the core. We debated our next move, torn between staying to find answers and fleeing from the sinister force that lurked within the shadows. As dawn broke, we made a harrowing decision to abandon our campsite and make our way back to civilization. We left with heavy hearts, haunted by the unexplained disappearance and the unnerving realization that even the most familiar places can become a trap. Months passed, and the incident at the Vanishing campsite became a haunting memory. We sought solace in our everyday lives, trying to move from the chilling encounter, but the question lingered, gnawing at the edges of our consciousness. We embarked on a restless search for answers, determined to unravel the mystery that had unfolded in that faithful night. We scoured local records, interviewed locals, and even enlisted the help of paranormal investigators. Yet the truth eluded us like a ghostly apparition vanishing into thin air. Rumors whispered through the small town nearby, tales of a cursed force that devoured those who dared to enter. Some spoke of restless spirits seeking vengeance, while others blamed it on ancient rituals performed within the woods. The more we've delved into the local lore, the more we realize that the answers we're sought might never be within our grasp. As time passed, our group slowly drifted apart, each hunted by their own demons and unanswered questions that plagued our minds. The Vanishing campsite became a cautionary tale, shared in hushed whispers among those who still dared to venture into the nearby woods. To this day, the truth behind the Vanishing campsite remains a mystery, a void in our collective memory. Was it the work of a malevolent force preying on unsuspecting campers? Or did we stumble upon a portal to another realm where the laws of our reality were suspended? The possibilities are as endless as the darkness that engulfed our camp that night. As we leave the Vanishing campsite behind, forever etched in our memories, we are left to wonder what truly happened in the depths of that cursed forest. In the deep wilderness, we stumbled upon an abandoned cabin that exuded an unsettling aurora. Intrigued yet cautious, we decided to spend the night inside. As darkness enveloped the area, we began to experience strange phenomena, chilling presence, objects moving on their own, and a growing feeling of being watched. Whispers echoed in the shadows, and an unseen entity lurked, terrorizing us throughout the night. Our attempts to escape this clutches proved futile, leaving us to question the true nature of the malevolent force that had invaded our camp. The cabin stood as a solitary sentinel in the heart of the wilderness, its dilapidated state hinting in the dark and troubled past. Despite its eerie appearance, we couldn't resist the pull and curiosity, and against our better judgment, we sought refuge within its decaying walls. As night settled in, an oppressive atmosphere descended upon us. The air grew thick with an unnatural stillness, and a sense of foreboding weighed heavily in our hearts. Shadows danced and flickered, playing tricks on our eyes. It was then at first that we felt the presence, a palpable malevolence that seemed to seep through the very walls in the cabin. Objects began to move on their own accord, sliding across the floor and crashing against the walls. Unnerving whispers echoed through the darkened corners as if a chorus of unseen voices conspired to drive us to madness. Fear consumed us, and we clung to each other, seeking comfort and protection from the unexplainable horror that surrounded us. Attempts to escape the cabin proved fruitless. The doors and windows remained locked, trapping us within its nightmarish grasp. We tried to communicate to whatever dwelled within. Our pleas for mercy were met only with mocking laughter and deepening sense of despair. Hour after hour, the torment continued, the entity toying with our sanity. We huddled together, watching the night pass with trepidation, longing for the first rays of daylight to break through the darkness and offer us salvation. But it never came. As dawn approached, we found ourselves trapped in perpetual night, forever at the mercy of the unseen entity that had claimed the cabin as its own.